In the heart of Los Angeles, nestled among the glittering skyline, stood the Golden Oak, a high-end restaurant known for its exclusivity and star-studded clientele. The restaurant was the epitome of luxury, with its crystal chandeliers, velvet, drapes, and a menu that boasted dishes costing more than most people's monthly rent. Among the staff was Emma, a sharp-tongued waitress with a knack for sarcasm and a chip on her shoulder. She had little patience for the entitled attitudes of the rich and famous, and she wasn't afraid to show it, though always with a smile that made it hard for anyone to call her out. One evening, as the restaurant buzzed with the soft hum of conversation and clinking glasses, an older man walked in. He was dressed simply in a worn leather jacket, jeans, and a cowboy hat that shadowed his face. His presence was unassuming, almost out of place among the tailored suits and designer gowns. Emma glanced at him and sighed. Another old guy trying to relive his glory days, she thought. She pasted on her best customer service smile and approached him. "Welcome to the Golden Oak," she said, her tone dripping with faux sweetness. "Do you have a reservation, or are you just here to admire the decor?" The man looked up, his piercing blue eyes meeting hers. "I'll take a table by the window," he said, his voice gravelly but calm. Emma raised an eyebrow. "Of course. Right this way, sir." She led him to a table, making sure to emphasize the last word with just enough sarcasm to be noticeable. As she handed him the menu, she couldn't resist adding, "Just so you know, our prices are as high as our standards. Let me know if you need help pronouncing anything." The man chuckled softly but said nothing. Emma rolled her eyes as she walked away, muttering under her breath, "Probably can't even afford the breadbasket." Throughout the evening, Emma continued to serve him, each interaction laced with her signature brand of mockery. When he ordered a rare steak, she quipped, "Oh, so you like your meat as tough as you are, huh?" When he asked for a glass of their most expensive whiskey, she smirked and said, "Sure thing, big spender. Hope you've got a gold card too. Match that ego." The man took it all in stride, never once reacting to her jabs. He simply nodded, thanked her, and continued to enjoy his meal. Meanwhile, the other staff members watched in horror, whispering among themselves. "Does she not know who that is?" one of the chefs hissed. "Someone needs to tell her before she gets fired." But Emma was oblivious. She was too busy entertaining herself with her own wit to notice the growing tension around her. It wasn't until the end of the meal, when the man asked for the check, that things took a turn. "Here you go," Emma said, sliding the bill across the table with a flourish. "Don't worry, I added a senior discount for you." The man looked at the check, then up at her, his expression unreadable. "Tell me something," he said, his voice calm but commanding. "Do you treat all your customers this way, or am I just special?" Emma crossed her arms, her confidence unwavering. "Oh, you're special, all right, but don't worry. I'm sure your grandkids will appreciate the stories about how you dined at the Golden Oak once upon a time." The man leaned back in his chair, a small smile playing on his lips. "You've got quite the mouth on you, don't you?" Before Emma could respond, the restaurant's manager rushed over, his face pale. "Mr. Eastwood, I'm so sorry for any inconvenience. Is everything to your satisfaction?" Emma froze. "Eastwood?" Her mind raced. No, it couldn't be. But as she looked at the man again, really looked at him, the pieces fell into place. The leather jacket, the cowboy hat, those piercing blue eyes. She had been mocking Clint Eastwood, Hollywood legend, Oscar-winning director, and as she was about to find out, the owner of the Golden Oak. Clint Eastwood stood, his presence suddenly towering despite his age. "The service was memorable," he said, his gaze locking onto Emma. "But I think this young lady could use a lesson in humility." Emma's face turned bright red as the manager stammered apologies. "Mr. Eastwood, I assure you this is not reflective of our standards. Emma, apologize right now." But Clint held up a hand. "No need for that. Emma, was it? You've got spirit. I'll give you that. But remember, everyone deserves respect. No matter how they look or how much you think they're worth, you never know who might be sitting at your table." With that, he tipped his hat and walked out, leaving Emma standing there, stunned and humbled. The manager glared at her. You're lucky he didn't fire you on the spot. Consider this your final warning. From that day on, Emma's attitude shifted. She still had her sharp wit, but she learned to temper it with kindness. And though she never saw Clint Eastwood again, she often thought about the lesson he had taught her, that true class isn't about how much money you have. Weeks passed, and Emma's newfound humility began to change her interactions with everyone around her. She still had her quick wit, but now it was tempered with genuine warmth. Customers who had once found her sarcasm off-putting now complimented her on her charm and attentiveness. Even her co-workers noticed the shift, though they couldn't resist teasing her about her infamous encounter with Clint Eastwood. Hey, Emma, one of the chefs called out one evening as she walked into the kitchen. You sure you don't want to give Mr. Eastwood a call? Maybe he's got a role for you in his next movie. The sassy waitress who learned her lesson. Emma laughed, shaking her head. Yeah, laugh it up. But I'll have you know I'm a changed woman. No more mocking customers, no more sarcastic remarks. Well, maybe just a little sarcasm. Old habits die hard. The staff chuckled, and Emma returned to the dining room, her tray balanced expertly on one hand. As she moved between tables, she couldn't help but glance at the spot where Clint Eastwood had sat that night. It had become a sort of reminder for her, a symbol of the lesson she'd learned. One evening, as the restaurant was winding down and the last few customers were finishing their meals, Emma noticed an older couple sitting at a corner table. They were dressed modestly, their clothes slightly worn but clean. The man had a kind face and the woman was leaning on a cane, her movements slow but deliberate. Emma approached them with a warm smile. Good evening, she said. Can I get you anything else? Dessert, perhaps? Our chocolate lava cake is to die for. The woman smiled up at her. Oh, that sounds lovely, but I'm afraid we've already spent more than we planned. This place is, well, it's a bit fancier than we're used to. Emma's heart softened. Nonsense, she said. Let me bring you a slice to share. On the house. The couple exchanged surprised glances. Are you sure? The man asked. We don't want to get you in trouble. Emma waved a hand dismissively. Don't worry about it. Consider it a little treat from me. You've been such lovely customers. As she walked back to the kitchen, she felt a sense of satisfaction. This was what it was all about, making people feel welcome, no matter who they were or how much they spent. When she returned with the cake, the couple's faces lit up with gratitude. Thank you so much, the woman said, her voice trembling slightly. This is the nicest thing anyone's done for us in a long time. Emma smiled. It's my pleasure. Enjoy. As she walked away, she noticed the manager watching her from across the room. He gave her a small nod of approval, and she felt a swell of pride. Maybe she wasn't perfect, but she was trying, and that counted for something. The next day, as Emma arrived for her shift, the manager called her into his office. She felt a pang of nervousness. Had she overstepped with the cake? But when she walked in, she was surprised to see a familiar face sitting in the chair across from the manager's desk. Clint Eastwood. Emma froze in the doorway, her heart pounding. Mr. Eastwood, she stammered. I didn't expect to see you here. Clint smiled, that same calm, knowing smile he'd given her the night they'd met. Emma, he said, I hear you've been making quite the impression lately. She glanced at the manager, who was grinning from ear to ear. I've been trying, she said. I took what you said to heart. I'm not perfect, but I'm doing better. Clint nodded. Good. That's all anyone can ask for. I came by today because I wanted to see how you were doing, and I have a proposition for you. Emma's eyes widened. A proposition? Yes, Clint said. I'm starting a new project, a small, intimate restaurant with a focus on community and connection. I need someone who understands the importance of treating people with respect no matter who they are, someone with a bit of fire but also a big heart. I think you might be just the person I'm looking for. Emma was speechless. She looked from Clint to the manager and back again. Are you offering me a job? Clint chuckled. I am, But not just any job. I want you to help me build something special. What do you say? Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much. Clint stood and extended his hand. Welcome to the team, Emma. As she shook his hand, Emma felt a surge of gratitude and determination. She had been given a second chance and she wasn't going to waste it. From that day forward, she threw herself into the new project, bringing her unique blend of humor and heart to everything she did. And though she never forgot the lesson she'd learned at the Golden Oak, she also knew that sometimes the most unexpected moments could lead to the greatest opportunities. All it took was a little humility, a lot of heart, and the courage to change. The new restaurant, which Clint Eastwood named the Humble Oak, opened its doors 3 months later. Located in a quieter part of the city, it was designed to feel warm and inviting, with rustic wooden beams, soft lighting, and an open kitchen, where diners could watch the chefs at work. The menu was a mix of comfort food and gourmet dishes, all made with locally sourced ingredients. But what truly set the Humble Oak apart was its mission: to create a space where everyone, regardless of their background or budget, felt welcome. Emma thrived in her new role. Clint had given her the title of Head of Guest Experience, a position that allowed her to interact with customers while also helping to shape the restaurant's culture. She trained the staff to treat every guest with kindness and respect, often sharing her own story as a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. Her sharp wit was still there, but now it was used to uplift and connect, not to mock or belittle. One evening, as the restaurant was bustling with activity, a familiar face walked through the door. It was the older couple Emma had served the Yaing complimentary dessert to at the Golden Oak. They looked around in awe, taking in the cozy atmosphere and the lively chatter of the diners. Emma's face lit up when she saw them. "Welcome back," she said, rushing over to greet them. "I'm so glad you found us." The woman smiled warmly. "We heard about this place from a friend and thought we'd give it a try. We had no idea you'd be here." Emma led them to a table by the window, the same spot where Clint had sat that fateful night. "This is my new home," she said, "and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Let me take care of you tonight." She personally oversaw their meal, recommending dishes and ensuring everything was perfect. When it came time for dessert, she brought out 2 slices of chocolate lava cake just like before. "On the house," she said with a wink. The couple was overwhelmed with gratitude. "You've made this such a special evening," the man said. "Thank you." As Emma walked away, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what it was all about, creating moments of connection and joy. She glanced over at Clint, who was sitting at the bar, watching her with a proud smile. He raised his glass in a silent toast, and she nodded in acknowledgement. Over time, the Humble Oak became a beloved institution in the city. It wasn't just the food that drew people in, it was the atmosphere, the sense of community, and the genuine care that the staff showed to every guest. Emma's story became something of a legend, a reminder that everyone has the capacity to change and grow. 1 year after the restaurant's opening, Clint hosted a celebration to mark the milestone. The staff and regular customers gathered for an evening of food, music, and laughter. As the night wound down, Clint took the stage to say a few words. "When I first came up with the idea for the Humble Oak," he began, "I wanted to create a place where people could come together, not just to eat, but to connect. A place where everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from, feels valued. And I knew that to make that vision a reality, I needed someone special, someone who understood the importance of humility, but also had the courage to be themselves." He paused, his eyes finding Emma in the crowd. "Emma, you've been the heart and soul of this place. You've inspired all of us to be better, to do better. And for that, I'm forever grateful." The room erupted in applause, and Emma felt tears welling up in her eyes. She walked up to the stage and hugged Clint, whispering, "Thank you for believing in me." As the celebration continued, Emma looked around at the smiling faces, the lively conversations, and the sense of camaraderie that filled the room. She thought back to that night at the Golden Oak, when her life had changed forever. It had been a hard lesson, but one that had led her to this moment, a moment she wouldn't trade for anything. And as she raised her glass to toast the future of the humble oak, she knew that this was just the beginning. With humility, heart, and a little bit of humor, anything was possible.